Throughout our nation's history, there has been some dark times, gruesome scenes that recent generations would struggle to imagine. Some of the worst of these have taken place in the ancient Ram Inn. In fact, the only thing darker than the Ram's history is the haunting that has shadowed the property for a lifetime. The ancient Ram Inn is located in Wootton-under-Edge and is surrounded by Gloucestershire's beautiful countryside. It was built in 1145 to house slaves and masons that were constructing the parish church of St Mary the Virgin that is situated across the road. 9 years later, in 1154, the Ram became home to the church's first recorded vicar, Gerinus.
The history of the ancient Ram is that it was built on a pagan worshipping site. It was built, I believe, to house the stonemasons that built the church, and the church obviously was put on the pagan worshipping site. They did that many years ago to encourage the pagans to worship Christianity and go to church. It's the oldest building in Wootton-under-Edge, and it's an historic monument. It's a Grade 2 star listed building, and it needs to be visited by people. They need to come and explore the atmosphere because its history is amazing.
Later, the ancient Ram was converted into an inn and a public house. There are said to be many ghosts that haunt the ancient Ram Inn, some of whom have been known to attack visitors, even forcing them to escape through the windows on occasion. It was purchased by a Maurice de Bath in the 1930s and changed hands again in 1968 when John Humphries bought the property, just before it was due to be demolished. John claims that on the first night inside his new home, he was pulled from his bed and dragged across the room by his arm. John spent decades researching into the Ram. During this time he found evidence that devil worship took place here, as well as ritual sacrifices. He even found the skeleton remains of sacrificed children. John fell victim to many poltergeist attacks over the years, including suffering incubus interferences some nights, but he remained resolute not to leave the Ram, instead cornering off a small area for himself to reside in with his trusty Bible. Sadly, John passed away in 2017. The Ram has been open to many paranormal investigations. Myself and Brian have actually visited here twice, once alone and once while conducting a fear experiment. Both times have brought up some fantastic evidence of paranormal activity.
Sam, did you hear that?
Yeah, Jesus.
What did you hear?
A male voice.
A male voice went shoo or something like
I didn't hear.
that. Did you hear that, Chloe?
Yeah.
The ancient Ram seems to have a different story and a different haunting in every room. You could say the building is overcrowded with ghosts. In the downstairs bar area, where children's skeleton remains were found, people have claimed to have been pushed, punched, and actually picked up and thrown across the room. There was a lady by the name of Elizabeth who was murdered in this room, and her body was buried under the bar. Could the force felt by the visitors here be her spirit subconsciously still fighting for her life? Also on the ground floor is a barn. The barn is said to be one of the most dangerous rooms in the Ram, with numerous spirit attacks taking place here. There are many reports of dark shadows creeping past the doorway, and people sighting a figure hanging from the rafters before disappearing. Hundreds of unexplainable photographs have been taken in the Ram over the years. One of the strangest is this one, taken from the top of the staircase. The sightings continue up the stairs. On the right is the witch's room. It gets its name because in the 1500s, when witch hunting was at its peak, a woman who was accused of witchcraft took refuge in this room at the ancient Ram Inn. Her pursuers eventually caught up with her. They tore her from the room and burned her at the stake. Mediums have claimed to have made contact with a violent, nasty woman here. Visitors have also experienced being scratched in this room, as well as hearing cackling. Other sounds that are commonplace in the Ram is that of crying children. Their whimpering is said to echo through the corridors, also that of a cat meowing and hissing. Interestingly, the remains of a 500-year-old cat was discovered trapped within the walls of the building. The most famous room in the ancient Ram Inn, and possibly the most famously haunted room in the world, is the Bishop's Room. It's in this room where incubus attacks have taken place in the dead of night.
That's beneath the Bishop's Room, the centre bed. Now the centre bed in the Bishop's Room is about one of the most haunted spots in the Ram. The incubus has appeared there right from day one. Because when my wife was here, that was the first room we got ready, and people were complaining something got in bed. A film crew came to the Ram on a Sunday, all arranged, because it seems I am the only one who will talk freely about the incubus. I laugh and joke about it. Whereas to other people it's a matter of horror and fright, but I think it's hilarious. It's a good job I don't take it serious, otherwise I'll have to pack up and go. Right, I'm sat in the other room, sat right there on a seat, facing the camera where you are with Madam with her hair, yeah. And with the recording equipment each side of me, wooden people along the back, listening to what I'm saying, because they don't believe a word of it. And 20 times I said the word incubus. Everything stopped, cut out, and refused to be filmed. 20 times. Now the film crew was horrified. They come all the way from London to make a film about me talking about it, and it just refused to be filmed. How about that?
The ghost of a Roman centurion on horseback has been seen riding through the wall, and there is also an evil monk that violently attacks people who try to spend the night in here. This is something that is very real and very dangerous. It happened to a good friend of ours in an investigation here. On the top level of this ancient building is the weaver's attic. It's up this attic where a former innkeeper actually hung his own daughter from the beams. What caused him to do this, nobody knows. What visitors do know is that in the early hours of the morning, furniture can be heard being dragged around up there. Could this be the former innkeeper reliving the moment he strung up the rope ready to murder his daughter? There are many different theories as to why the paranormal activity at the ancient Ram Inn is so strong. A lot of people believe it to be because of two ley lines that cross at the Ram. Where ley lines cross is said to be a very magical place. One of the ley lines in question comes directly from Stonehenge. Another theory as to the hauntings is that on the ground where the ancient Ram is situated, evidence was found of it once being a pagan burial ground that was disturbed upon construction of the Ram. It is also believed that an ancient spring is situated under the grounds. Whatever may be the cause, the ancient Ram is still the most haunted location I have ever stepped foot into.